What's the word, Chicago baseball fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central. I'm your host here, Big Bro. Listen, we're going to get right into it. Pete Crow Armstrong finally gets his first hit in what seems like forever. We're going to get into the win over the Houston Astros right after the intro.
To the number one place for all Chicago baseball. Let's start the show.
All right, Chicago Cubs fans, welcome to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central. I'm your host, Big Bro. Hit us up at 773-389-6954 or send us an email at chicagobaseballcentral at gmail.com. The Chicago Cubs had the unenviable task of facing Justin Verlander today, and honestly, he shut them down. But once he left, Chicago Cubs took care of business, put up 3 runs in the 6th inning, none bigger than Pete Crow Armstrong coming in, getting his very first hit of his career, and it just happened to be a game-winning home run.
Yeah. Used to wanna be a superhero, flying around with a cape, catching bad guys. Now my head underwater, but I ain't in the shower and I ain't getting baptized. To the good and the bad times, all the cuts, broken bones.
My boy PCA. Look, we know he could play defense. We know this, but he hadn't been getting any hits. He didn't get any hits last season when he was called up. This season so far, he hadn't had any hits. Me and my boy Antonio, you guys are familiar with him over here on this channel. We're talking about it in one of the sports groups that we're in, and we were saying how important it was for him to get a hit at that at bat. I wasn't expecting him to knock that thing out the park. Like, can you imagine your first career hit being a home run that just happens to be a game-winning home run? Shout out to Pete Crow Armstrong, man. Hopefully this just gets him going. Let us know what y'all think about today's game right there. Keep me company in the chat, y'all. Y'all already know how I get down. But this is exciting, man. This kid right here has a lot of pressure on him. He's replacing Cody Bellinger, who's down for maybe a month or so with this rib contusion situation. So we're gonna need his bat, and we also needed Miguel Amaya's bat today too. He got the Cubs started with a fielder's choice to right field, and Dansby Swanson scored to tie the game in the 6th inning. But then you had Pete Crow Armstrong hit the game-winning home run in the 6th inning to make it 3-1, and that is your final 3-1. The Chicago Cubs take care of business. Hayden Wesneski came in and gave the Chicago Cubs 2 1/3 innings pitched, no hits, no earned runs, and 1 strikeout. Now that's important because the bullpen has been struggling lately. Typically, you see somebody come in and give up runs, but with Drew Smiley out, and then Alzolay not pitching today, Hector Neris gets the save. With 2 walks, but got out of a jam, got a couple of ground balls in the bottom of the 9th inning or the top of the 9th inning to preserve the win. Nico Horner with a strong game today, 3 for 5 today. Mike Tauchman, 1 for 1. Ian Happ, 0 for 2. Michael Busch, 0 for 4. Kind of coming down to earth a little bit since he was on fire to start the season. Dansby Swanson, 1 for 4. Madrigal, 1 for 4. And Miguel Amaya, 0 for 4. But he did get that RBI as he grounded into a fielder's choice. And then you got Pete Crow Armstrong, 1 for 4, 1 home run, 2 RBIs. Just an amazing situation. And Canario, 0 for 3 today. Javier Assad was solid today, with the exception of giving up an earned run in the 1st inning. He had a 4-pitch. I think no, that was in the White Sox game. I was watching both games, but he struggled a little bit in the 1st inning. Runners were at 1st and 3rd. You had a sacrifice fly, but that was it. He was lights out. After that, 5 2/3 pitch, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. Shout out to Javier Assad stepping into that starting position and taking care of business. His ERA is just at 2. Craig Counsell and company has these guys playing back amazing baseball. And you know what? It's crazy because Cody is on the 10-day IL, but I think it's going to be longer, Andrew Bajic. I think it's going to be longer for him to be out. The rib injury that he suffered is probably going to be at least a month out. So the Suzuki's still out too. The Cubs have a laundry list of injuries right now, but the reality is next man up, and it seems as though this team understands that mentality because they have not hung their heads low, even with all these injuries to major players. At the end of the day, the Chicago Cubs hold on to their second place in a division position. 15-9 is their record, and honestly, they could easily be 18-7, 19-6. They've blown a couple of games that they should have won, but today was a great win for the Cubs. The two games that they've won in this series so far actually is great because the news of Cody Bellinger going down on top of everybody else that went down. Kyle Hendricks, Drew Smiley, Suzuki, Justin Steele, so on and so forth. This team could easily just pack it in and forget that they're still professionals. And we're seeing it over on the South Side. You guys know that I'm a Chicago White Sox fan, and all the injuries they have led to them mentally checking out. It just seems like they haven't gotten to the point where they figure that they need to just go out there and play baseball, the game that they grew up playing and loving. On the north side, though, the Chicago Cubs, they don't care who is on the squad right now. They don't care who's hurt. They're out there taking care of business. Man, your boy PCA with his very first hit. We're going to show that highlight again before we get up out of here. But Chicago Cubs defeat the Houston Astros, sending them to 7-19. Those guys are struggling. They are struggling right now. But yeah, I love it, man. I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Cubs. They got completely shut out by Justin Verlander, and they decided that, hey, we're gonna take advantage of the next person coming in. Now, Hayden Wesneski was called up with the injuries to Hendricks and Smiley, and so far in his 2 appearances in the season, he has 6 1/3 innings pitched, 1 hit, 0 runs given up, 3 strikeouts and no walks. Faced 20 batters and retired 19 of them. Hayden Wesneski, who came into last season with a lot of expectations to be that 4th or 5th starter, kind of fizzled out a little bit, but now coming out of the bullpen, this guy seems focused. He seems like he's ready to go. Get 2 or 3, 1 or 2 innings pitched in any game that he plays in. It seems like that's good for him. So shout out to Wesneski for coming in and holding it down after Assad had to get up out of there. Are any of the injured Cubs coming back soon? As of right now, no. Most of them are fresh injuries. I know the Justin Steele injury was worse than it looked like. Cody Bellinger seems like it's going to be worse than worse than the 10-day. Suzuki, I haven't heard anything about him yet either. If anybody out there has heard anything, any updates on Cubs injuries while I type it into my search bar, just let me know. Because these guys, they're struggling. I mean, they're not struggling. They're playing well without their leaders, but you already know that can only last for so long. The Cubs need their players back on the field. Let's see the injury list. Yeah, I don't think anybody's coming back soon. Hendricks will throw a bullpen session this weekend in Boston. Cody Bellinger still on the 10-day. Drew Smiley's on the 15-day, retroactive to the 22nd. Justin Steele went through pitchers fielding practice Tuesday, so that's promising. Suzuki was introduced to light baseball activity on Sunday, so that's promising. And then you still got Merriweather out, Bodie out, Cole Franklin out, so those guys are still out. So yeah, looks like you might see Kyle Hendricks back sooner than everybody else, and says Suzuki could be back with that oblique injury, and hopefully we get Justin Steele. He's still on the 15-day IL list. So there's your update on the injuries. Yes, man. I don't know. I never heard that. I know that Pete Crow Armstrong's mother is an actress who played the mother to the kid who was in the movie Rookie of the Year, if I'm not mistaken, way back then. I was born in the 80s, so you guys, if you watch movies in the 90s, you remember that movie Rookie of the Year, where the Chicago Cubs kid came out and was throwing out strikes and so on and so forth. But the mother in that movie is Pete Crow Armstrong's mom, but I'm not sure if he's related to Robin Ventura. Yes, Andrew Bajic, man, Kyle Hendricks has been that atrocious this year that either he does not need to be back as a starter, but he does, or he can go back, get some bullpen work, or just be left off the team because he's just not. He's not good right now. 12.0 ERA and giving up home runs, massive amounts of hits, so on and so forth. What about Hawk Harrelson? What are you asking me, ATF? What's the word? How you feeling, brother? What's going on? Oh, is he married? Is he related to Hawk Harrelson? I don't know. Why are you asking me who he's related to? I don't know his family tree. So yeah, if you guys are just joining the Chicago Cubs, take care of business and defeat the Houston Astros. Wow, like how the mighty have fallen. The Houston Astros are just bad. 7-19, 3-10 on the road. The Cubs improved to 10-3 on the road. Let's just show you how they did it. The Chicago Cubs were down 1-0 in the sixth inning after um, Justin Verlander just dominated the Cubs. They couldn't get anything going, but once Montero came in, Chicago Cubs took care of business. Amaya hit into a fielder's choice to right field. Dansby Swanson scored to tie the game. Madrigal was thrown out at second because the hit was kind of like, is it gonna, be fair, foul, caught? And it ended up being fair, and they ended up throwing him out at second. But the very next batter, Pete Crow Armstrong, homered to sixth center field, almost 400 feet, 396 feet, to give the Cubs a 3-1 lead, and that proved to be the game winner. And you guys can see that home run. His very first hit in the major leagues is a game-winning home run. Check it out.
Yeah. Used to wanna be a superhero, flying around with a cape, catching bad guys. Now my head underwater, but I ain't in the shower and I ain't getting baptized. To the good and the bad times, all the cuts, broken bones.
Yes, sir. You see the Cubs faithful in center field going crazy because honestly, everybody wants Pete Crow Armstrong to be successful. We know what he can do defensively, but if you can't produce offensively, then we don't need you to be out there in center field. Unfortunately, so here he is taking us in the game for Cody Bellinger, who's out for, from what I'm hearing, at least a month. So Pete Crow Armstrong is going to have an opportunity to get many at bats, make many defensive plays, and let's just see what he does, man. Even Miguel Amaya stepped up today as well. Little big league. There you go. I thought it was rookie of the year. This is we're talking about some Crow Hawk Harrelson. You funny, ATF. There you go, Jonathan. It's little big league. Do you think Ben Brown will go to the pen? We need him there. Honestly, Andrew, I do believe that Ben Brown will be better out of the bullpen. People who throw that hard, 103, 102 miles per hour, they're not pretty. They're not solid starters. It's hard to control those types of pitches. So yeah, I think he would be good out of the bullpen, kind of in the same situation that Wesneski's in. Not necessarily as a closer, but as some middle relief. I agree with you there. Yes, sir, Jonathan Angle. Shout out to Mac Miller, definitely one of my favorite rappers who met his demise a few years ago, but definitely solid out of Pittsburgh. Has anyone ever seen Bull Durham? It's a baseball movie with Kevin Costner. I don't think I ever watched it, but I'm familiar with it. I remember the movie. I know the name that you're talking about. Kevin Costner been in a couple of sports movies. Field of Dreams, that one, and then Draft Day, which was another good one. He was also in Pushing 10, a golf movie. So he did a football movie, a baseball movie, a golf movie. Next, he needs to do a basketball movie if he hasn't already. So there you guys have it, man. The Chicago Cubs take care of business today, even with all the injuries. ATF, you funny as hell. So tomorrow the Cubs go to Boston, and Boston's been playing pretty good baseball, so it's not going to be a sweep. As you know, I think the Cubs just swept the Houston Astros. They needed these wins after taking 2 out of 4 versus the Marlins. They really could have swept the Marlins as well. They should have swept them, but they blew 2 of those games. Really, one of them for sure. But Boston Red Sox tomorrow in Boston, and that's going to be the start of a stretch of games where we're going to see how serious the Cubs are about weathering this storm of injuries. They go to Boston for a 3-game set, and then they go to the Yankees for a 4-game set. So that 7-game stretch is going to be tough. And then they come back home for 6 games, 3 versus Milwaukee, 3 versus San Diego, who the Cubs owe a little bit. And the surprising Pittsburgh Pirates, they're going on the road to face them after they play San Diego, and then they got to play Atlanta again, and then Pittsburgh again, and then Atlanta again, and then St. Louis, and then Milwaukee and Cincinnati to wrap up the month. So this month is the month of May is a big divisional month for the Cubs. They got 3, 7, 10, 14, 15, 16, 17 games versus divisional opponents to go into June. And then they play Cincinnati and St. Louis again in the beginning of June. So the Cubs can either find themselves distancing themselves from their divisional opponents, or seeing exactly what these guys have to offer and maybe finding themselves playing 500 ball. We're going to see what's going to happen because May is a big, big month. The Pirates are better than anybody could have expected. The Cardinals are playing better. The Reds are pretty good. And of course, the Brewers are in first place. The Cubs are half a game behind them. So the month of May is going to be strong, but can't look too far ahead. Looks like the Cubs are going to have to take care of business versus the Boston Red Sox in this next series on the road, which should be fun. Everybody loves going out to Fenway. Milwaukee already won today, so we know what that's about. Cincinnati lost as well today. We'll do a real quick scoreboard, and then we'll get you guys out of here. Toronto and Kansas City on a rain delay. Top of the sixth, Kansas City leads that one 2-1. San Diego and Colorado are going at it. San Diego leads 8-4. The Dodgers lead the Washington Nationals 1-0. Milwaukee already won 7-5 over Pittsburgh, and then you have Boston losing today to Cleveland 6-4. The Chicago White Sox lose 6-3. What's new? They're now like 3-22 or something like that. Philly takes care of business over Cincinnati 5-0. And of course, the Cubs won. Seattle also defeated Texas today. And then later tonight, you got the Oakland A's, who are playing better than the White Sox. Believe it or not, that's just terrible. Everybody playing better than the White Sox. 9-16 of the Oakland A's, and they're taking on the Yankees, who are 17-8. Strong start to the season for the Yankees, who the Cubs see at the end of next week or the beginning of next week. So there you guys have it. Chicago Cubs take care of business, defeat the Houston Astros 3-1, 5-2 on the homestand. Should have been at least 6-1. One of those games they were supposed to beat the Marlins. And ATF, let me get your last comment. Did you know that George Brett once crapped? ATF, you funny as hell, man. All right, you guys, we appreciate all the love and support. Do not forget to check us out tonight over on Chicago Bears Central. Of course, it's draft day for the Chicago Bears. They have the number 1 and number 9 pick today so far. And me, Hayes, Bobby, Steve-O, and C-Dub will all be in the building with a special guest as well in the building live to call the Chicago Bears draft. So join us on Chicago Bears Central if you haven't already. Subscribe to any of our other channels. Of course, Chicago Bulls Central, Sky Central, Blackhawk Central, and the Shot Bulls podcast with the Cognac Gang. And then over on NBA Central, we're definitely following the playoffs over there too, even though the Bulls aren't in it. We love basketball, so we're definitely following the rest of the league. All right, y'all. For Big Mike and Wyatt, we're over here taking care of business. The Cubs take care of business and win the game. If the Bears draft each member of the national championship Michigan football team, they may win the Super Bowl. That's false. I think J.J. McCarthy is overrated, but we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a fun night tonight. See you guys in a couple of hours, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Chicago Bears Central. And later, we're going to do a playoff recap for the NBA as well on NBA Central. Follow both of those channels. We're going to holler at y'all next time, man. Appreciate y'all. Shout out to PCA. I'm going to play his highlight one last time, then we're going to get up out of here. Peace.
Yeah. Used to want to be a superhero, flying around with a cape, catching bad guys. Now my head underwater, but I ain't in the shower and I ain't getting baptized. To the good and the bad times, all the cuts, broken bones.